You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. My guest, Dr. Theo Champong, economist and political risk analyst, is joining us via Zoom. Also, Duke Aaron Sasu, lead strategist, Movement for Change. You know that movement by now. Also joins us via Zoom. But here in the studio, people you haven't seen on the set in a long while. Some of your favorite people. Haruna Idrisu is MP, Tamale South, and former minority leader. Good morning. Thank you for making time to join us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We have chased you for many times, and it's been unsuccessful.
I'm here today.
And Nana Kumia, thank you so very much. Nana Kumia is member of the New Patriotic Party's communications group. And also he speaks for the Vice President, who is one of the contenders for the flag bearership as well. Thank you for making the time to join us.
It's my pleasure, Samson.
Often many people say, where is Akomia? Bring him. We want people who communicate like him. You know, and not to flatter you because you are here. The way you communicate, it brings a lot of, even though you have done it for many years, anytime you do, it's so refreshing. The unnecessary fights and insults, rather than focusing on the issues, is what we always want. So thank you for making the time to
Well, it's my pleasure. I hope Haruna Idrisu takes notice of your observation.
Oh, I think it's in the same league. Right. Now, so as you know, we begin, is it Monday? Then the Electoral Commission's limited registration exercise will come to a close. It says it will not extend it, even though initially it appeared to have given, some idea because of the, as it were, overwhelming calls from all fronts asking that it expands the registration centers. But now it says it will not happen. And this is despite the fact that there are still many people in the queue, not their fault. They go there, they are unable to register. They return the next day, they are unable to do so because they come from faraway distances. There are some who have to travel 80 kilometers. We are told some are doing as much as 100 kilometers. And they have to carry along 3 guarantors, pay for their transport and all of that. In Boku, where there is some situation, the EC has not been able to get, we're told, not even close to a quarter of the people registered because it's operating a very much more limited sort of process there. And it says it will not extend the process in the face of all of this. Let's hear from our guest and what they think about all of this. Dr. Theo Champong, you have been following and we want to know what you think about what the EC is saying, very briefly.
Good morning. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. We were here a few weeks ago to discuss this issue, and I raised the point that it has to go down to the people, to the grassroots, and the way and manner that the ET was conducting its exercise would end up this, enfranchising or not getting as many people as they want to actually register. Be that as it may, it's gone ahead with this exercise, and it will become very clear at the end of the day when they compile their numbers that even the 1.something million potential voters that they were looking to add onto the road, they are not going to reach that number. So it then calls into question the purpose of doing this exercise in the first place. And then secondly, when you look at it, even in terms of value for money and things like that, again, there are question marks around that. I would have wished that they would give a couple of days extension to allow people that want to register to register. But if they go on this trajectory, it is going to be very clear that the numbers that they're looking to get for this current exercise would not be met.
The EC has made it clear that its intention is not to capture everybody at this time, and that there will be another opportunity next year. So why should we be so fixated in wanting to have everybody who must register this window.
But people are registering this year because they want to possibly vote in the upcoming district level elections.
That's right.
Right? And then you've got the national election next year. The two are different events. So I struggle to accept the view being propounded by the EC and others that, oh, well, you have another opportunity, so wait till next year and then you can register for the national election. So what, in essence, they are saying or telling Ghanaians is that the national elections is even more important than the district level election. And in the process of doing this, you actually end up disenfranchising. You're not getting people that should be on the road to vote at the district level elections. And that, I think, is not a good thing to be doing.
But they say what is the fact, that district level elections are not, you don't have too many people participating in them. Is it because this time it coincides with the registration before it that we are trying to make, all of this noise?
People don't turn up or register as much, but that does not mean that you should use administrative processes, protocols, etc., to try and prevent them from, one, registering, and then number two, exercising that democratic right that has been given to them. That is the fundamental point. So as to whether people will turn up or not, that is not the issue. The issue is that you need to give them an avenue and a fair chance for them to register. And to the extent that people are queuing, they come in 2 days, 3 days, they are not able to register, and you have an intransigent position that says that we'll close it and we're not going to open it up or even give anybody the opportunity to do so for the purposes of the district election, I think that is problematic.
Duke, let's hear you also as the lead strategist for Alan Tremanting, who it does appear if nothing significant happens, he will be on the ballot in 2024. What do you also say? Because Alan is seeking to leverage on youth, young voters, and those who are being captured now, the majority of them are those who are now turning 18. The EC said it had a target of 700,000. So far, it has done 673, and from the way it sees it, by the time it ends the program, it would have captured 800 to 900. So what's the need for this complaint? Please unmute your mic. All right, we have difficulty hearing Duke make his submissions, but let me come to the studio and begin with Nana Kumia. So the EC says we are almost hitting our target. So why should people be complaining, irrespective of the fact that we know that some will not be registered? They know that for a fact. But there's a window after this, so they should wait.
Well, let me wish our audience a good morning. Also, my very good friend Haruna, whom I haven't seen in a while, and you yourself in your flowing robes. I understand it's a special occasion this morning.
Yes, I'm heading to a wedding.
Okay. Felicitations to the new couple. Samson, these Electoral Commission registration exercises, as far as I remember, have always been fraught with disagreements. Always. From registration of minors and political parties challenge and disputes about the venues for every registration, there's an issue. And this year's registration is no different. I mean, just play back all the other registrations that they did. There's an issue. We don't agree. We don't agree to days. The timing is not good. There's COVID. There's days. All over, every time. I think the time has come to put a bottom line to these disputes that come up every time we are going to have some registration. And Parliament is key. The Electoral Commission is an independent body fine. But they take their requirements to Parliament. When they take their requirements, their financial requirements to Parliament, they accompany it with a work plan. Because they just don't go to Parliament and say, give us 50 million Ghana cedis. They tell Parliament what they are going to use the monies for. That platform should give us an opportunity to be on the same page as to what exactly the Electoral Commission will be doing for that particular year, how they are going to do it, the timing of those events. And everybody is in agreement at that table so that we know the Electoral Commission is being given 60 million cedis for 2023. They are going to conduct registration for new qualified Ghanaians and so on. They are going to do it at electoral areas or they are going to do it at their district offices. And they are going to do it from this time to this time. And it will cost so much. So that right from the get-go in January, February, the whole nation knows what the Electoral Commission is going to do and how it's going to do it. So that there is no dispute. Why are you doing it at electoral areas? Look at the size of my constituency. Why are you doing it at this time? It's the rainy season. Every time. So, Sam said, if we don't do that, next year, the Electoral Commission will bring some registration and we'll still be squabbling. And these squabbles may have had them, depending on which party is speaking. It's time that we think forward. And I believe that the way forward is to nail the work plan of the Electoral Commission at the hearings when their budget is being considered. And then we all know there's certainty. The name of the game is certainty, not surprises.
I heard you share the concerns, just like the NCC, the CODEO, the political parties that came together in a coalition. I heard you share the concerns that there was reason for the Electoral Commission to listen and to expand to the thousands of electoral areas rather than limiting it to its less than 300 district offices.
No, I mean, of course, the wider the spread of the registration centers, the easier people would have access. I'm not even talking about some of the countryside constituencies where distances can be really big. You can have one countryside constituency and the distance from one end to the other is about 100 kilometers.
I had you make an example even with your own constituency in town.
Take this constituency, right. Okaikwe South, which is just across the road from that's Okaikwe South. It stretches from Abeka Junction to Nkrumah Circle to the Accra Academy Bubuashi Road up to Kokompe. That roughly is the constituency. Now, the Electoral Commission district office is at Kaneshi, behind the Kaneshi market. If somebody lives at Adaman, which is the original name of the settlement at Abeka Junction, I mean, it's Adaman. If somebody lives at Adaman, and there's a village there, quite a populated village, and they want to go to the Electoral Commission's office at Kaneshi, they have to take 2 trotros. Because the walking from Abeka Junction or Adama to Kaneshi Market is far. If they take trotro, they have to take 1 trotro to Circle, Nkrumah Circle, and then take another one from Nkrumah Circle to Kaneshi. And then when they finish, they have to use the same route back, one from Kaneshi to Nkrumah Circle and Nkrumah Circle, because you're not going to get a direct trotro from Kaneshi Market to either. So this and
they will have to carry along their guarantors.
They have to,
if they don't have a guarantor.
And this is in the middle of Accra. I mean, you can't get more metropolitan than that. You can't get more compact than that. But these are the distances that people would face. You see, so somebody is at Accra Academy, that area, they call it Bubui. They might also have to take 2 trotros to be able to one to Circle and then one to Carnation. So even in metropolitan Accra, it can be difficult. If you spread it to electoral areas, then that electoral area, it's called Gontain. That's the Abekan Junction Circle electoral area. It's called Gontain. And you'll probably be doing it for that electoral area at a polling station at Circle. Or if you take Bokuase, which is North Carnation, and so you have about 12 polling stations. But it's within walking distance. CNB Flats, North Carnation, Last Stop, Amankwa Blocks. It's within walking distance. 10 minutes you'll be. So it's easier. But the Electoral Commission may say that funding and logistics, and timing.
That's why
I've heard them say that,
this should be settled in Parliament.
That is what I'm saying. That
Parliament should say, if you are looking for 20 million, we know that you are going to capture, use all the electoral center,
what I'm saying, when the Electoral Commission comes with the budget and it says, give me 60 million for this year, it comes with a work plan.
That's right.
And Parliament, in considering the estimates or the request, we'll look at the work plan.
That's right.
So we'll say, okay, so you're going to do a registration exercise this year. How are you going to do it? Oh, we'll do it at the district centers. Well, the district centers is difficult. Why can't you do the electoral areas? Well, if I do electoral areas, and then you have to add some 2 million cities. Okay, go and bring estimates and let's see. So if Parliament agrees that yes, it's going to be happening at district centers or it's going to happen at electoral areas, then that is it. Okay. And the money is provided. And there's certainty right from January what is going to happen. And then you don't have these squabbles.
But what will you say briefly about the Boku situation, where they wanted to agree with the two parties so that they could have additional centers? Because the Boku situation is such that certain places are under the control of certain people. And so people are not able to move from one end to the next for the purposes of the registration. So if we know that this ethnic group that is against the other one, they are in this place, we create one for them, and then we create another for. So they were looking to create about, I think, 4 or so of them. And the NDC had a disagreement. The EC's office is in town. And in the town, the belief is that majority of the people there are pro-government, sort of MPP. And so they wanted 3 extra centers to cater for some equality or equity of the process. And they didn't seem to get what they wanted. So they didn't agree. And the EC says, since there was no agreement between the two parties, it is keeping to what it has, and then it will not move beyond that.
Well, I think we all agree that Boku is probably a special case. And indeed, the EC has a provision for special cases where the distances are really, really, really some way. They have the leeway to establish extra polling station registration centers. So, and we all know Boku is a special case because of the peculiar security situation at Boku. But look at what is happening. Of course, the consultation would have to be four-way. The people in the area, the Electoral Commission, and of course the two big political parties.
That's right.
To represent all the political parties. So it has to be 4-way. Electoral Commission, the people of Boku, and then the 2 political parties. Now, if there's no agreement, then we're in trouble. So let's urge all the parties to come to an agreement, particularly because of the volatile security situation.
Is it not too late in the day? The process is almost over.
It's never too late to secure peace.
So if you are doing for them, then you have to extend it.
I'm saying that it's never too late to secure peace. Okay. So if some provision has to be made for a few extra days, because you don't want to go and force something through that will create security problems.
Okay.
Then you would have regretted.
Yes.
Samson, thank you very much. I've listened to Nana Akumia and your personal take.
Is that your handwriting?
And I borrow your words, Samson.
Is that your handwriting?
Yes. The Electoral Commission
like a doctor's handwriting.
must facilitate, not frustrate, the right to vote. And it's important that we situate the right to vote well. I have difficulties with all of us, save for the quote that I have borrowed from you, that the right to vote is the most enshrined in any constitution. Again, you say inalienable right, guaranteed under the Constitution. In a functional democracy, it's very essential. And the Electoral Commission and its actors, including the chairperson, deputy commission, must stop insulting Ghanaians with those ugly words that wait until next year. It is not a right on sale or for sale. It's a deserved, legitimate, constitutional right conferred on every Ghanaian citizen who has attained 18 and of sound mind, consistent with the provisions of Article 42. So the premise must be that all the benefits guaranteed Ghanaian citizens under the Constitution, including the right to vote, must be of easy access to every Ghanaian. So nobody should behave as if you are doing any Ghanaian a favor to get that Ghanaian registered to vote or responding to issues. I'll come to Boku. It is a guaranteed constitutional right. And therefore, government and the Electoral Commission have a responsibility to every Ghanaian to provide ease of access to that right. Don't forget, Samson, the right to vote and registering to vote confers two important or three important rights. One, it gives you the opportunity to participate in the political decision-making process, to influence decisions, to change government. The enthusiasm has been great across the country, given the number of polling stations I have visited personally. Maybe there is a new quest to change government. Young people want to see government change. It also confers on you the right to be voted for. So if you want to be voted for in an election, you acquire it only by being a registered voter.
And also
my colleague is here.
The right to appointment to certain public office.
Absolutely. Then more importantly, Article 94, as you've referred to it. So let's not treat the right to vote as if it's one of those commodities in the market on sale, that somebody is offering it for sale. Do your best to get it to buy. If you say democracy is expensive, go to Burkina Faso or Gabon. You appreciate why Ghana must invest more.
So that by what you are saying,
yes,
if there was somebody who wanted to contest the district assembly elections,
absolutely,
and didn't have the opportunity to register,
you are denied that.
Absolutely, right.
And what kind of compensation can you give that person? Or he wants to change the government, you've denied him the opportunity. Then, Samson, I wonder sometimes when I listen to us as Ghanaians, what is this business of wanting to register to vote, whether district officers or constituency officers or electoral officers? I address one of the concerns raised by Nana Akumia, where you bring in Parliament. I've had the rare privilege to chair even sessions of approval of the EC budget. At least I should say, thanks to the late Basua, the MP for Kumao, who was chairman and I was vice chair, then Osaiche Mensah Bonsu and my good self. And we do have soft spot for independent constitutional bodies. So I'll respond to it. Now, I've heard the Electoral Commission also argue publicly that blame Parliament. No, they got it wrong. Parliament doesn't prepare budget for the Electoral Commission. Parliament doesn't prepare your financial estimates. What Parliament does is to consider your proposed estimate for purpose of approval and for purpose of allocating money. So if you say that blame Parliament, what did you submit before the Special Budget Committee? Don't forget, Samson, even this right.
Are they blaming?
How come? Yes, I've heard them publicly say that blame Parliament, that Parliament didn't do allocation.
But you can suggest to them if what they bring to you.
And I say
not,
we have.
It's not enough.
I'm sure even the last session of the EC budget, I probably chaired or vice chaired the committee. We are saying that 2020, 21, 22, 23. It's only in 23 you are conducting a limited voter registration exercise. Why? That itself is a constitutional wrong. Every Ghanaian, Article 42 of 18 years of sound mind. So I look forward to a Ghana, maybe a Ghana under John Dramani Mahama, not them. A Ghana where any Ghanaian who attains the age of 18 can voluntarily and freely walk to any office of the Electoral Commission to get registered to vote.
That law was made in 2016.
I supported
right?
it, and I've spoken to it.
So that law is there.
We are to facilitate it. So what is the Electoral Commission doing about it? So I come now to his argument.
The Electoral Commission now is tying that continuous voters registration exercise to Ghana card, which you are refusing to approve for.
First of all, no, even Ghana card, again, statistically they've been proven wrong. Samson, your men have gone around the polling stations. Is it Indians and Chinese who are queuing to get registered to vote? It's Ghanaians. They are being guaranteed. And I understand that statistically 63 persons have guaranteed for some Ghanaians to get registered to be on the electoral roll. Article 45, a function of the Electoral Commission, to compile a voter register. I'm saying that I look forward to a Ghana where with ease, you only need to walk to an EC office with whatever makes you a Ghanaian in order that you get registered to vote. And I'm promising that under John Dramani Mahama, this should be done within the first 100 years. Of 100 days, the first 100 days of his presidency, even though the Electoral Commission is independent, government will facilitate their ability to be able to do that. Now, Samson, electoral area and district officers, and it is not as if, Nana Kumia, it's not as if the chairperson and her men have not been appraised of this issue, not at all. We summoned them before the Special Budget Committee, not one, not two, there was even Committee of the Whole, where we had discussions with the Electoral Commission on how to facilitate this particular process. Now, the benefit of registering voters at a polling station, how come that the MPP, you have polling station executives? Because all the political parties have learned from the process. So voters go to where they vote on election day. So first of all, the political benefit of registering me at my polling station gives me the benefit on election day to know where to cast my vote. That is politically beneficial to the individual, to the Electoral Commission, and to Ghana's democracy. Now, if you say district officers, you have related to cost in Accra. I mean, take Daboya and take Mount Cargo. In fact, when the EC chairperson and her deputies appeared before Parliament, I used the example of Bole, where it may probably even take you more than a day to cross over to the district office in order to get registered as a voter. In the Afram Plains, you may have similar positions. I've heard Honorable Betty talk about the difficulty she is going through in terms of voters. I've heard an MP of the New Patriotic Party, not the NDC, say that I'll spend over 30,000 transporting persons. Is that his responsibility? Must that additional burden be shifted on it? So, Samson, we should discuss this matter within the context that the Electoral Commission must appreciate that they are not doing any Ghanaian any favor.
Okay.
They have been conferred a mandate and authority to compile a voter register.
So what
to borrow your words,
to
facilitate and not frustrate voters, and to make sure that they prepare the grounds for a credible, free and fair elections. Don't take these matters for granted. It is at the core of the integrity of any elections. If my right to get registered is denied, then you are denying me even the right to vote and the right to possibly influence change in the decision making.
So what should happen
so
now?
Is that the Electoral Commission must have special opportunity for people in the Boku area who are torn not just on partisan lines but on chieftaincy, ethnic, other social dimensions, which is not allowing persons to vote. All of us must be concerned. What happens to Boku even on election day? Who can go where and who cannot go where? Who can campaign where and who cannot campaign where? I've had one interesting example where I attended a wedding in Boku, and immediately I left. The interpretation that was given to my visit gave me cause to be worried about the nature of the violent conflict in Boku. And the state and its security apparatus must not look on. Every other day we are told that 6-7 people have been murdered, killed in Boku. What is the Ministry of Interior doing? What is the minister responsible for national security doing? So don't just look at Boku as if it's normal now in Ghana. You are also talking about threats of terrorism within that particular
That's
area.
right.
And that becomes a veritable path for anybody to launch onto our country, whilst calling for calm for the people of Boku, calling for peace. They've coexisted. Whether
The process is almost over. What should be done now for places like Boku and also
there are-
far to reach places where the
And-
EC
and-
had initially given a certain indication that it was going to multiply the centers, even if it was not going to listen
Samson,
to the areas.
I wish we had time. This is my practical experience. Part of the problem of the EC equipment is IT, broadband, internet connectivity, offline and online. It's about the presence of internet connectivity within that particular area. I'm aware that sometime in our history, we deployed this infrastructure. What has happened to it? That you have to go offline and then you register the person manual and you are asked to stop. But the enthusiasm is massive, is great. Young people are interested in participating in the decision-making process of our country. We should hold this as a guaranteed constitutional right. So officers and men of the Electoral Commission don't speak as if you are giving any Ghanaian any favor or doing any favor to any Ghanaian by ensuring that we get right to register to vote. Okay. It's your constitutional right. And the results were, Nana, I presided over partly the budget of Electoral Commission. We kept reminding her that you have not registered voters for 2021. She kept saying Ghana card. And some said, let me conclude on that. Ghana card. Nobody is saying that don't use Ghana card, but make it available and accessible to those so that it becomes your ultimate system. Are you saying that the people queuing throughout the country are Chinese or Indians?
Well, the EC is concerned about minors that are being, bussed to also register in the process. Very, very concerned. We can hear Duke now, Aaron. If we can hear him, and then after him, we take a break and return to look at Alan Shermanting and whether or not he can make any impact in the 2024 elections. Alan Shermanting has been saying that his movement for change is going to focus on the youth, because out of the over 17 million registered voters in the 2020 general elections, the youth aged between 18 and 35 constituted 9.4 million voters, representing 55% of the total voters. And that's where he's going to focus on. Are they concerned about what is going on now? Hello, Duke.
And to esteemed panelists, I then worked for many years, and it's an honor to be on this platform with them all, including my elder brother online. And to all young people across the country, I say a good morning to you all and to every Kenyan as well. What has really struck me this morning is what the Honorable Aaron Sasu just said. He says that he talked about the right to influence change. The right to influence change as being a fundamental element that all young people should have access to. It tells you that within this registration process, young people must be at the core of the discussion, because the discussions of our economy, discussions of human rights, and all other factors of our state are ones that has young people at heart. And so when you have a registration process that, even if it is only perceived that there is a perception of frustration in the system, that perception alone becomes an inhibiting factor to how young people troop out to register in the process. And so we have to also borrow the comments of the Honorable Akumia, who mentioned the fact that communication is highly important in here, so that within the limits of the authority of the Electoral Commission, they need to communicate well with prior notice as to the rationale behind their levels of engagement, so that in as much as they might not have any ulterior motives, you try to avoid these levels of perceptions that seems to suggest that there is a structural objective to limit voter registration among young people. And
the Electoral Commission has been very clear that the intention during this exercise is not to capture all, and that there will be a window in 2024, when there will be continuous registration so people can continue the registration process?
So, Samson, I think that the analysis of future assurances as against existing levels of participation needs to be discussed. Making future promises within state institutions is one that we have heard for so many years. What we can attest to is what is happening now, and whether what is happening now is one that allows people to exercise their right to vote, in principle, so that promises will not be a base of assessment. When we get there next year, we'll have to make an assessment as well. And so we wouldn't have to wait till next year, then we come back crying on existing issues or issues that could have been resolved. How you address issues now gives us an idea how issues will be addressed when in the next year as well. So we have every right to complain. And so the analysis of a future assurance is one that shouldn't hold at all.
You don't think the EC will take every step and make every effort to avoid anybody being disenfranchised? Because if you remember, it took one person, Ayi Mensah, his name. He was being frustrated in participating in the district assembly elections. He went to the Supreme Court and he stopped the whole exercise. And we are told that Ghana, lost millions of cedis because we had done everything ready. We're just about to have the process, and then he stopped it. There's situations where the Supreme Court has held one individual's right, like Tenadi, that you must not let them off. They must be registered also to participate in the process. You think the EC will play and toy with such a situation because it can take one person to stop the whole 2024 elections?
Definitely, I agree with you. And I think that the right of an individual within the limits of the Constitution and case law, as you've rightly said, has duly been established. What I'm saying is that conversations need to be had within existing frameworks or within existing structures so that you and I and all panelists can make a fair assessment based on how things are happening now. Now, we can also then, when it gets to next year, make a fair assessment whether there has been progress or not. But we also have a right to make an assessment quite creditably on how things are being run now, so that next year will come, and we are hopeful that the Electoral Commission, in its quest to have a transparent process, would address all concerns. But on the basis of what is happening now, you and I have an obligation to also voice out these things, because the issue of perception is very important in electoral processes, especially within our political discourse. The perception of frustration can have an impact on how even people are willing to be part of the registration process when it comes to the next year. So that even if it is not actual, how you manage the perception conversation is very, very important. And I believe that the senior panelists on your platform have shared the same as I have in their respective submissions. At the end of the day, progress will be made. That progress can only be made based on the transparency in communication and the transparency in how systems are being put out there. But once again, I also will agree with you that hopefully next year things will be better, but it does not in any way deny you and I the right to voice our concerns as to the challenges that exist today.
All right. Thank you very much, Duke. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we will check if Alan Kyerematen is being realistic about his chances in the 2024 elections.